Thank you to our sponsors for today's video: Amber, StarCharge, Nokian Tyres, and InfyPower. Amber offers a modern extended warranty for your Tesla's battery and more without the burden of long-term contracts or upfront payments. Check out the link in the description below to browse their plan options and get started with a free over-the-air diagnostic check. This video is also brought to you by StarCharge, the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world, and is also a provider of residential and commercial battery storage as well as microgrid solutions. Nokian Tyres, a leader in safety and sustainability, maximize performance and efficiency with their made in USA all-season tires and their dedicated Hakkapeliitta EV winter line from the inventor of the winter tire. Learn more at nokiantyres.com/EV. And InfyPower, the largest EV charger module provider with over 3 million power modules running reliably worldwide. Their latest G2 collection features ultra-high power density and efficiency for EV charging and energy storage integration. InfyPower, innovation for your power. Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. No exciting testing or drifting around a racetrack today. We're actually talking about something pretty bad, which is just over 2 months ago, we purchased a brand new Nissan Leaf. It was actually Danny's car, who watches our dogs and transports our vehicles around for Out of Spec, and we did this incredible lease deal video where we sold hundreds of Nissan Leafs in the Colorado area, where it was basically $500 down, $19 a month. And of course, we hopped on that deal. I got a Leaf for Danny. Fast forward a couple weeks after delivery, just 400 miles on the car or so, it's completely dead. We filmed a video our brand new Nissan Leaf is bricked, where there was a service EV light that came on. It wouldn't go into gear. It wouldn't do anything. It was just an immobile piece of metal. And we towed it to the dealership, and that was where we left you guys. It's now roughly 2 months after it arrived at Fort Collins Nissan, and I'm here to provide you with an update as to what's happening with our bricked, brand new Nissan Leaf. Well guys, let's back up. It was only about 2.5 months ago when we did this video with Fort Collins Nissan on an incredible Nissan Leaf deal. So many of my friends, our colleagues, others all went in and leased a 2-year lease on a brand new Nissan Leaf. Now, we have always, Nissan Leaf was one of the original electric cars for sale in our market. 2011, I want to say, 2012, sometime around there, they were mass producing battery electric vehicles. That was really cool. Nissan was on the ball at the time. And since then, we've really seen no innovation from Nissan. And we've given them a lot of crap over the years for still having air cooling in the Nissan Leafs, increasing battery capacity, but not increasing thermal performance, and also just not having good software and other things. So the Nissan Leaf was never a vehicle we recommended to many of our viewers until they became so cheap, they were basically free. And when you start thinking about $19 a month for a car for 2 years, you start to ignore thermal management issues, software issues, just like bad usability, kind of cheap materials, and you go, wow, this is a fairly safe, reliable mode of city urban transportation with quite a bit of range, 150 miles or so in the standard battery, and deep into the 200s if you get the 64 kilowatt hour plus version. And then when you start thinking, okay, $19 a month, great, let's go for it. And a lot of you guys agreed. Like I said, I think we've done at least a couple hundred Nissan Leaf sales off of our video in the Colorado area. I know Fort Collins Nissan did a ton. I mean, we wiped out their inventory and incoming inventory with this video. And then so many of our viewers, I've heard from you guys, went to other Nissan dealers in the Colorado area. The reason it was such a good lease here is we have a state and a federal tax credit, plus some other local incentives that can all be piled on, plus an already aggressive lease rate from Nissan that just made this car practically free. And when I heard about this deal, I thought, okay, let's do a video, let's get one at least, and let's do a video. So I pre-negotiated an out of spec rate with our local Fort Collins Nissan dealer, who is fantastic, by the way. We love those guys. They're great. They're great to work with. And so our issues with our Leaf don't really stem from them. We'll talk about that in a moment. But basically what I said was, we don't want the protection, don't put in this, you know, safe vehicle tracking, all this BS. Just, we want the car. don't, you know, our job is not to make the finance manager money. It's to help our viewers get as many cars as cheaply as possible. And that's what we did. We basically said, hey, we're going to do a video, pre-negotiated rate, boom, let's rock and roll. And I don't want you to put a single protection on the car. And they agreed. And so people were just coming in on, I think it was like a Monday and Tuesday, just knocking the doors down, going for Nissan Leafs. So of course that all happened. It was great. It was really cool. Great to see so many viewers at Fort Collins Nissan as well. And Danny, we did a video with his delivery where he took delivery of his brand new Nissan Leaf. And Danny's not an EV guy. We spoke about this in the video where he had an old Buick. He's a combustion head, but ever since he drove our Model S Plaid, he was like, oh, damn. He calls them electro cars. He's like, electro cars are pretty damn cool. So, you know, Leaf is a great option just as a city commuter for Danny to get around, to do his little stuff here in Fort Collins. And then he's got his big Super Duty that he's hauling cars around with outside of when he's not in Colorado. So we got him this Leaf as a thank you for, you know, helping us with the dogs and also, you know, moving the cars around, things like that. And he seemed to like it. You know, he drove it around. He would charge it at home a couple days. I did a couple CCS with CHAdeMO adapter charging situations, just normal DC AC charging, probably 50-50 split. And the car was performing perfectly fine. And it was driving great. So, you know, 400 something miles later, I go to move it from the garage or from the driveway to the street at my house. I was borrowing it at the time. And I noticed that from the time when I parked it to the time that I moved it, it had lost like 8 to 10% state of charge. I always keep an eye on what battery percentages are in vehicles. And I was like, damn, Leafs don't phantom drain. How did that happen? So anyway, I didn't think much of it. I was like, maybe I looked at the wrong, you know, maybe I thought it had a different SOC level when I parked it. No big deal. Left it there. Danny then drove it for another day or so, and we got a call from him that it would not go into gear. The car was bricked. And my first inclination about this was, oh, it's got to be a 12-volt issue. 12-volt issues can spark a world of problems with electric vehicles. We deal with them all the time. In fact, our electric smart car is due for a new 12-volt battery as it's sitting dead in the hub behind me. And, you know, I went over there with the 12-volt jump box. We went over there with our Autel scan tool, our Autel Ultra Maxi System. What is it? Autel Maxi System Ultra EV. It's like the big $7,000 EV professional grade scan tool. And I brought it over there and I was like, let's just see what's going on with it. No big deal. Didn't think to call Nissan about the car at the moment. And noticed the 12-volt was operating perfectly fine. Either way, we cycled the 12-volt, we scanned the codes, and the codes read that there was an isolation issue in the battery pack. And I can't remember, did it say insulation or isolation, but either way, it threw a pretty serious electrical battery fault, according to the Autel scan tool. And I'm like, there's no way. Leafs have been on sale for 10 plus years. They've been so reliable. I own an old Nissan Leaf that is just, you know, dead reliable. Yeah, they degrade with heat and if you're hard on the battery packs, but they just slowly decay. They don't just break. And they are really the cockroaches of the EV world. I'm like, there's no way that we have a major problem with a brand new Leaf. That just can't be. So anyway, we couldn't figure out how to get the car to go or move. And so we went through Nissan roadside assistance, and I called them up on the phone, and it gave me a prompt to say, hey, would you like to use an app? You know, you can text us or whatever, use the Nissan roadside app, and we'll come and, I think it was a web app, put in your info and someone will be there. So I put in the info in the roadside app, and then nothing happened for hours. We just sat there waiting, went home, had lunch. I was waiting for a call or a text. Nothing happened. So, you know, after about 2 or 3 hours, this is all in the video, we called them up and I was like, hey, what's up with our request? They're like, oh, we never received it. I'm like, no, I definitely submitted it in the web app that you told me to. So that needs some fine tuning on Nissan's side for roadside assistance. Anyway, we called them up. They scheduled a tow, great tow truck operator came by and picked up the car and brought it to Fort Collins Nissan. It was then dropped off. This is August 13th, and right now it's almost October 13th. It's October 10th today, right, Alyssa? Mm-hmm. Okay, so rolling up pretty much 2 months later. Car arrived and didn't hear anything from Nissan on the first day, but they really took care of Danny. So our friend Pat, who sold us the car, who we had on video, didn't even like go to the service loaner thing, just took a used car off the lot. It was an Altima, and let Danny drive it for a bit. They since swapped him into a Kicks, and Danny's been driving a loaner car. At first, Danny was like, no, I don't need a loaner. I can borrow one of Kyle's cars. And I'm like, dude, always take the loaner. That's one thing we've learned. We like, we always try to be mindful of vehicle logistics at certain dealerships, and if we're bringing a car in for service, that sometimes we really don't need a loaner car. But in my experience of owning 20 plus cars and having experience servicing all of them and all of the cars over the years, always take the loaner if offered. It's incentive for them to hurry up and get their car back. So if you take one of their cars, they want it back. And so I told Danny, dude, call Pat back, tell him you need a loaner. And he really did. I mean, honestly, Danny has been using it and driving them. And it is my preference, of course, to have him drive one of their cars rather than one of ours around for, if we're just piling miles on stuff. So Danny took the loaner. They actually delivered it to our house, which was super nice. Again, Fort Collins Nissan, fantastic dealership, nothing but a great experience with them. Not sponsored in any way. They never paid us to make the Leaf videos or selling all the cars. We never took a penny from them for anything, but I just have to say we really like the people there. They're great, and they were willing to wheel and deal, and we got everyone some great deals. And they took care of Danny. So they brought him an Altima. That car, for whatever reason, needed to go back. They brought him a Kicks, no problem, all good. And that's what Danny's been driving for the last 8 weeks. So I went by the dealership. I guess the day after we dropped it off, they said, hey, we scanned the car. The problem is it has an isolation fault. I said, yeah, I saw the same thing on my scan tool. And they said it actually needs a new module, a new cell. And that's the level of extent that I've heard from them. I'm not sure if they need a new cell group or if they need a new cell. Either way, that's all we have known for the last 8 weeks, is that it needs a new cell and it's just parked at the Nissan dealer. So fast forward to yesterday or 2 days ago, I drove over down to Fort Collins Nissan, just showed up, be like, hey, our Leaf's been here for 2 months. We haven't heard anything in weeks. What's up? Like, this is getting crazy. And they said, basically, hey, we're waiting on a part. We're waiting on this cell, this module. It's like a just over $800 part that we're waiting on to come in, and then we can fix your car. And I'm like, why is it taking 8 weeks to get a part for a car that's been on sale for 10 years? And certainly there's been different battery revisions and cell chemistries, but like, this should just be dialed in and ready to go. And they were like, yeah, no, sorry, there's no ETA still. It could be a day, could be a year. We don't know. And I'm like, holy smokes, this is insane. This is our brand new Leaf. So then I started to think, okay, what is actually going on here, and what are the possible solutions to getting our car back for Danny, and just in general, like, if this is pretty crazy. So then I started offering up solutions to the general sales manager and the service folks, and I'm like, okay, you've got like 4 other Leafs that I'm looking at right here that are brand new. Just take the battery out of that one, put it in our car, and we'll be good to go. And they're like, no, Nissan can't warranty that, not possible. Then I thought, okay, whenever I've heard of a Tesla battery issue, it's a same day or next day repair almost every time. And you just pull it in, they put a remanufactured pack or even a loaner pack in your vehicle. Tesla's been known to do. They'll take all the time in the world to fix your original pack. Once it's done, you come back and swap it out. I said, can we just do that? Can you do anything to help? And they're like, no, there's no way we can take a module out of a car on the lot. There's no way we can swap a battery pack from another vehicle that's on the lot. And, from my perspective, that actually kind of makes sense from the way legacy, old school dealerships model works with an automaker warranty claim. You can't just take a part out of a car on the lot. But I was like, I'm pretty sure like Tesla's done some crazy stuff. I mean, I've seen Tesla do some really crazy stuff, same day repairs. And I'm like, this is kind of what we're looking for. It's been 2 weeks. Let's get our car back. What do we need to do to get the car back as soon as possible? And they said, we have to wait. There's nothing we can do. They say they don't have any way to escalate the issue on their side, is what they told me. They've already called the battery parts supplier directly, and they're just on indefinite back order. And that's what I was left with. So what I told them was, I said, look, at the end of the day, Danny is rolling in a combustion vehicle. He got an electric car to save money. I mean, we got him an electric car so he could save money. At least try and figure out a way for us to get a Leaf. I'm looking at like 5 of them here on the lot. We sold 1 million of them. Like, let us borrow one of those so he at least has an equivalent car to drive while he's still making his lease payments, which doesn't equal that much money, but still, the principle of things, this is not how a vehicle service experience should be. And the general sales manager agreed. He said, okay, we'll see what we can do. We'll try and get you a Leaf. And so I'm sure by the end of this week or next, we'll swap Danny into a Leaf. So let's talk about the bigger issue. That's where we are. It could be, an indefinite amount of time. By the way, the car's just sitting there covered in dust, sitting at an indicated 60-something% state of charge. So it's not like it's sitting dead or full. It's just sitting there collecting dust, waiting for parts. So let's talk about what I'm concerned of. And maybe this is a broader industry-wide issue. Maybe it's a Nissan-specific issue. But the fact is, we bought not the first model year of a brand new car where parts are just starting to roll in. We bought a Nissan Leaf, which is fairly unchanged aside from some styling for the last 10 years. I mean, same basic chassis, same basic architecture, even the same motor as the original Leafs, just with an updated inverter and tune for the new ones. How is it possible that Nissan has no battery replacement plan for someone driving one of these cars? I'm thinking Rivian, Lucid, Tesla, all, of course, maybe more premium brands, but also not sort of, also a new way of thinking when it comes to service. And every single person I've heard of that's had a major Lucid issue, major Rivian issue, major Tesla issue, yes, some of them certainly have issues that take a while, but when it comes to something like a battery, we're not talking 2 months with an indefinite timeline to get moving. Their operations are pretty much lined up and ready to go with loaner packs, replacement packs, remanufactured packs, which is a whole nother topic. I don't like the idea of a remanufactured pack, but whatever. And even Tesla has developed new LFP replacement packs for some Model 3s, which is pretty interesting. So like they totally are just dialed in to servicing electric cars. And that's not to say that some of you may have had a bad experience or a long Tesla service wait time. I've been there. I've been there with this Cybertruck, still waiting on parts to come and fix a lower rocker panel. This actually goes in tomorrow for service. So I'm not saying that those service experiences are perfect in any way. But what I am saying is they are at least set up, familiar, and their whole process is aligned to service electric cars. The fact that Nissan doesn't even know for sure how this cell is going to go into the battery pack. Is it going to be a cell of a newer age compared to Danny's car that was produced probably 6 months ago, something like that, where there might be some degradation. And then as we go into the future, usage and cycles on the vehicle, you have 2 different types of cells in one battery pack, and they can come out of balance as they have different capacities, and you can have voltage issues across cell to cell. And I just hate the idea of replacing a brick, a module, a cell in a battery. At the end of the day, it's a 2-year lease, so it is the next owner's problem. But if I were Nissan, I would say, holy smokes, you guys just bought a brand new car from us. Thank you, by the way. That's awesome that you bought a brand new Leaf in 2024, an aging vehicle with CHAdeMO. And your car died, which is very unusual for a Leaf. I've never heard of a battery pack dying in a Leaf. Of course, it's the car we got, just crazy, but it is. And we'll just send a new battery to you. We'll deal with waiting for the parts on the cell. We'll just swap a new battery in your car. It'll take a couple of days to get there from the factory or whatever, and then we'll deal with remanufacturing the pack that comes out of yours, and that will then become someone else's replacement. That's how I would do it if I ran a company, and just try and get that car back on the road as soon as possible. But not what happens at Nissan. So here we are at a crossroads, which is, we have an indefinite wait time on a part that seems to be mass-produced and not that special or exciting. And we have Danny driving a combustion car, burning fuel when he wanted to drive an electric car. And so that sounds like we're going to get a Leaf to drive for Danny. So that's one problem solved. And then the next problem is getting his car back. I called, in full transparency, I called, when our first video went up of the car dying, Nissan called me. And we, of course, know the Nissan people. We review their cars. We see them at events and stuff. And so they called me and said, hey, is there anything we can do to help, or, you know, whatever. You know, crazy that everyone was just like, how is it possible that the Out of Spec Leaf died right when they're some of the most reliable electric cars on the planet, which truly they are. And anyway, they're like, look, if you need anything, give us a call. I'm like, no, we're fine. Fort Collins Nissan is awesome. They'll take care of it. They'll diagnose the car. I'm sure it's something small, and then that's it. And I haven't reached back out to them until yesterday, where I called up Nissan and I said, guys, I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm not asking for, you know, whatever to happen here. All I'm asking is why and how is it possible that you guys are so not fit to service an electric vehicle of which you have been selling for over 10 years? And they said, okay, well, send us your VIN number, send us all this stuff, and now we'll see what happens. If anything, it's going to get escalated to the regional level, and then they'll try and get the car fixed. The goal is, you know, to have Danny driving a Leaf. I don't care if it's his or Nissan's, but it just seems crazy to me that this is even possible in 2024, where this is a established automaker with an established parts business, you know, to basically not know how to service one of their own cars and not have an ETA on how to do it. So anyway, in full transparency, I made that call and I was like, guys, let's start working. So I have to send them an email with, like, you know, our VIN and everything, and I'll do that after this video goes up. But yeah, that's our Leaf situation. Sorry it took so long to explain, but I wanted you guys really to know it is one of the most received comments we've had over the last couple weeks. What's the update on the Leaf? And the update is it's sitting in a parking lot getting covered in dust with apparently a dead cell that is causing an isolation fault in the battery pack, and there's no ETA to fix. And that is not a customer experience we would ever recommend to one of our viewers to get. So at this point, I don't think Nissan has demonstrated the ability to quickly and effectively service their electric vehicles. Clearly they haven't. And, you know, I think this is something we should consider more when we are recommending electric vehicles to customers. And this is why we buy cars. This is why we keep them long term. It's to have an insight into what that service experience is, which we don't really get when we borrow a car for 1 week. And certainly I have to say, even though I'm sure people have had their issues with Tesla, like I said, I have, and Rivian with extended wait times now, and Lucid, which honestly is, I've never had a bad Lucid experience. And I don't think my dad, who had the Grand Touring, also never had a bad Lucid service experience. They were always quick and effective, but they're still small. But it's just like the companies that are building all electric vehicles clearly are demonstrating an ability to service those vehicles better than existing automakers that have one EV tech that might be on vacation for a week, which happened in Fort Collins, or he was gone sick, I don't know. And that's no way to service the future of mobility. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this Out of Spec Reviews video. I will update you as soon as something exciting, interesting, or new happens. If you don't see an update from us, you can assume no change. Pretty crazy. Looking forward to seeing your comments, and we'll see you on another one again soon. Bye-bye.